read a gorgeous headline to you. It's just too much. It's from the Globe and Mail. BCE's CEO calls for government assistance for struggling media sector. In case you don't know, BCE stands for Bell Canada Enterprises, one of the oldest and richest companies in Canada. I checked, and as of today, it's worth $52 billion on the stock market. Here's the stock price chart. You can see they made a killing during the pandemic lockdowns. Of course they did. When you were locked in your homes, not allowed to go to work or school or a restaurant or sports or whatever, you couldn't go to funerals or weddings, what could you do but sit at home and watch TV on cable from Bell? They made billions off the lockdowns, and it was not surprising to learn afterwards that Trudeau actually paid the big TV stations, including CTV, which is owned by Bell, paid him $104 million to promote their lockdown propaganda. So that was pretty cozy. Trudeau locks Canadians in their homes, shutting down any real-life social interactions, forcing you to go online for any human contact. And surprise, the big internet and cable and cell phone company made billions of dollars off it and supports the lockdowns with a vicious vengeance against anyone who dared to call for freedom instead. Look at that stock chart, though. It's not as shocking as the big pharma companies, but it's close. So anyways, this big monopoly company that got rich off the lockdowns, they're begging for help, not trying to earn their wealth from their customers, trying to coax it out of Trudeau, because apparently $100 million to promote the lockdowns, that's already been spent. Let me read a little bit from the story. BCE's chief executive officer is calling on Canada's broadcasting and telecommunications regulator to help the country's media sector cope with a challenging advertising market and competition from foreign giants. Bell Canada is a giant itself, though. I read their most recent annual report. Look at page 81 on their report. $24 billion in revenue last year, $69 billion in assets. That's up $9 billion in 2 years. Like I say, they literally made $9 billion off the lockdown. They are profiteers, just like Pfizer is. Oh, and they also happen to own, besides a swath of TV stations and cable companies and cell phones, and well, they own a chunk of some major sports teams. They own the Toronto Maple Leafs, the Toronto Raptors. They own huge sports arenas. They're billionaires who employ pampered millionaire athletes. These are the people who charge $300, $400, $500 for a ticket to see a ball game, and they're begging for handouts from the government, which means, of course, from you, taxpayers. Let me read a little more. During a conference call Thursday to discuss the Montreal-based company's second quarter results, Mirko Bibic said, more needs to be done by the CRTC faster to ease the pressures on the industry. Quote, the ecosystem in Canada is under severe stress and requires urgent government assistance, Mr. Bibic said, as BCE reported higher second quarter revenue, but a steep drop in profit owing to higher expenses. So hang on. So they're wringing more money than ever out of Canadians, but they're just spending so much that taxpayers have to fix that? Otherwise, these billionaires might have to take, not even a pay cut, but maybe a slightly smaller bonus. It's amazing to watch these predators, who are rich mainly because they have a protected cell phone and cable monopoly, claim to be the little guy. When massive U.S. companies with global scale and global footprints are having extreme difficulty contending with the difficult advertising markets, you have to ask how Canadian broadcasters are expected to navigate them with such an unfair regulatory playing field, he added. Got it. They literally have a monopoly. You're not allowed to set up a cell phone company in Canada without government permission, but they're being treated unfairly? Hey, how about poor Bell customers like me? Take a look at this. Here's an independent international review of cell phone prices in every country, including prices for data. Look at the different charts. Canada is literally the worst country in the world for how customers are treated. We pay the most for cell phone data and coverage in the world, and we get the least because companies like BCE hoover it up without competition. You cannot have American competitors up here because BCE lobbies to keep them out. But they need more government money, aka money from you. They really don't care about anything other than money, of course. Look at this. In June, BCE's Bell Media filed an application asking the CRTC to waive local news and Canadian programming requirements for its television stations. Got it. So they want CTV and their other propaganda stations to not have to publish Canadian stories. They want to, I don't know, publish America's Got Talent or the Barbie movie or whatever. But they still want a monopoly. Oh, and they just laid off 1,300 people in their news division. But can they please have more taxpayer money for Canadian content? The company announced back in June that it was eliminating roughly 1,300 positions as part of a significant reorganization. It expects to see the financial benefits in the second half of the year. Okay, so they fired 1,300 people, and they think they're going to see the benefit of that soon because they paid them out, but they're still begging? They're so gross, but it's a perfect fit for Trudeau, isn't it?